Ada, if I divorce my husband because he says my kids aren't his problem? I, 33F, and my husband, 37M, we will call him Jim, have been together for almost 8 years, 5 years of marriage. We are a blended family. Jim brought 3 kids to the mix, and I brought 3 kids to the mix, and we had 1 child together, special needs F. Crap load of kids, right? Over the years, I've always felt like Jim has treated my kids differently. He's hardly created much of a relationship with them other than my middle son, high-functioning autistic 13M. My oldest son has always rebelled against the fact I'm no longer with his father, and my youngest son just doesn't have any similar interests with Jim. Fine, that's okay, no big deal. Jim has never abused them or anything, just doesn't show much interest in them. Mind you, I have a rock-solid relationship with his older daughter, and she even looks at me as her mom, because her mom isn't in the picture, drugs. I don't have a relationship with his oldest son because he ran off to live with his drug addict mom, but I have a pretty good relationship with his youngest son. He also looks at me as a mom or a bonus mom. Over the years, Jim and I have been through so many ups and downs, from his sobriety, alcohol, then going through tons of miscarriages, and of course the fact I literally helped him get over his ex-wife for cheating on him, and I even helped them file their divorce. That's another story for another day. Lots of red flags through our relationship, but I ignored them, of course. I loved Jim, and I felt a connection I never felt before. Our sex is incredible. Jim has never cheated, never even looked another girl's way, but something in the back of my head has always felt like I was a bit too much of a rebound for him after his wife cheated and left. He wouldn't really tell me timelines or specifics. I found out through Jim's kids and their mutual people. Anyway, we have a lot of history, you know? But back to the point. Last night while we were drinking, Jim got so upset about my kids and started talking shit about what kind of mother I am and about how it's not his fault I had kids with a pew $Y. Those kids aren't his problem, and it should have never been assumed he should have to be a father figure to them. He's gotten drunk before and talked crap, but for whatever reason last night felt like he really meant it. Now, a little backstory about MY ex-husband. He's what you call dad of the year. Sees the kids 3 times a year, lives 5 states over, and acts like dad of the year when he has them. Buying them whatever they want, more interested in being their friend, etc. Thinks because he pays a measly $600 a month in child support, he should never have to pitch in on things like medical expenses, school stuff, etc. He also loves to pin me and Jim against my boys. Back to the story again, sorry, bear with me, lol. When I asked Jim to elaborate on what he meant, he said I was too soft, and because I had kids with a pew $Y, it was my job to step up and be a dad to them too. I didn't have the luxury of just being a mom. I explained that I've been a mother to his children for almost a decade. I never looked at it like that. Coming from a blended family myself, it was always said without being said that when you marry someone with kids you assume that parental role of some sort to those kids. He went on about how we never discussed any of this, and this should have been put out on the table before we even got married. I just sat there dumbfounded. I was so incredibly hurt, I got up and went to bed. He of course ransacked the kitchen and left such a huge mess. And of course sleep in until 10 a.m. while I had to get up like every morning he's not at work to handle our special needs daughter. He's been pretty silent towards me all morning. So, Ada, for feeling like I should divorce Jim? I'm very much considering it. So many things just make sense now the more I think. I do all the running for his son. And it's like pulling teeth to get Jim to do anything for my kids. I naturally fell into the default parent role, so never really gave it much mind until now. Especially looking back earlier this year, when he didn't have a job while going to school, and I got a job to help support us. Even then, he refused to do anything for my kids. What would you do? Any and all advice welcomed, but please be nice. I'm still trying to process this all. Thanks. Edit. He's not an alcoholic. When I say I helped him with his sobriety, this was when he was heavily drinking at the beginning of our relationship due to not dealing with everything his ex put him through. Has not been an issue for many, many years. Also, when I say he ransacked the kitchen, I mean he ate everything in sight and left a mess. Also, I realize I really made it out to be I'm just there for the sex. I'm not. There's a lot of stuff I didn't put in the post that I probably should have. Like, he wasn't always like this with our kids. He used to be involved, but it slowly disappeared over 8 years to this point. Like the fact he really helped me through a lot of my own issues, especially infertility. Remember, I'm just telling MY's side of the story. Obviously, I can't put every single detail.
Drunk words are sober thoughts. It feels like he meant it because he did mean it, and it appears that he never suggested otherwise up to this point. Esh, as you say, he never showed interest in your kids, and you ignored several red flags. It shouldn't have taken a decade and a drunken rambling later for this to click. I mean this in the nicest way possible. You have got awful taste in men, and it's hurting your children. If you divorce, I suggest either being single for a while or waiting a long time before getting the kids involved so you can judge his character beforehand.
AITA for wanting to cancel my wedding after my fiancé accidentally sold my late dad's guitar. When I was 14, my dad passed away suddenly. The only thing I kept of his was his old Fender guitar. It wasn't worth much money, but to me, it was priceless. He taught me to play on it, and every time I touched those strings, it felt like he was still here. I told everyone in my life, especially my fiancé, that this guitar was off limits. Fast forward to last weekend. We're getting married in 3 weeks. My fiancé has been on this weird minimalism kick, selling random things on Facebook Marketplace for extra honeymoon cash. I came home from work and noticed my guitar stand was empty. I thought maybe he moved it because we were deep cleaning. Nope. He sold it. When I confronted him, he said he forgot it was sentimental and thought it was just collecting dust. He even bragged that he got $150 for it. I lost it, like, ugly, crying, shaking, couldn't breathe. He kept saying, "Babe, I'll just buy you another one. You can get the same model online." But it's not the same. My dad's fingerprints were literally worn into the fretboard. You can't buy that back. I immediately asked him to message the buyer to get it back. He refused at first because he didn't want to look stupid. I told him I didn't care if he looked like an idiot. Go get my guitar. When he finally reached out, the buyer said they'd already gifted it to their teenage son, who absolutely loves it and wouldn't give it back. Since then, my fiancé has been sulking, acting like I'm overreacting and ruining the wedding vibe. He told his mom, who already doesn't like me, and now his whole family is texting me to stop punishing him for an honest mistake. I'm not sure I can marry someone who can be this careless with something I've been crystal clear about for years. It's not about the guitar, it's about the fact that he didn't care enough to remember. EITA for thinking about calling off the wedding?
Comment from Melody Munchkian. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you at all for calling it off. This isn't just about a guitar. It's about the lack of respect, care, and understanding he showed towards something you made crystal clear was precious to you. The fact that he's sulking instead of taking full responsibility says a lot. You deserve a partner who values your feelings and possessions, especially ones tied to such deep memories. NTA.
Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. I've told him countless times over the years how much that guitar meant to me, and it's like it went in one ear and out the other. The fact that his first reaction was to defend himself instead of even trying to make it right is what's really eating at me. If he can dismiss something so personal now, what happens down the line when it's something even bigger?
Comment from user 1Featherplum. He knew it was important to you. He didn't care. He thought it would be easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. This man does not respect you. I would end it, but it's up to you. He took something very important to you, and his sulking caused you are rightfully angry. Is this the type of behavior you want to put up with the rest of your life?
Exactly. That's exactly how it feels. Like he made a calculated decision that my feelings didn't matter as much as whatever story he told himself to justify it. And now, instead of owning it, he's sulking like I'm the one who did something wrong. I keep asking myself that same question. Is this the dynamic I want for the rest of my life? Right now, it's leaning toward a hard no. AITA for sending my brother a $12,000 bill after he borrowed my car and wrecked it on a joyride? From user Cherry Chipmunk. I, 28F, have been saving for years to buy my dream car, a fully restored 1967 Mustang. I finally bought it 8 months ago, and it's basically my baby. I barely even drive it because I want to keep it pristine. Last weekend, my younger brother, 24M, came to visit. He's always been the fun sibling, life of the party, always pulling stunts. I love him, but he's impulsive and doesn't think things through. I went to bed early Friday night because I had work the next morning. When I woke up, my car was gone. I called him and he laughed and said, "Relax, I just took it for a spin." Well, turns out that spin involved racing some of his friends down a back road. He lost control, went into a ditch, and smashed the entire front end. The repair estimate came back at just over $12,000. Insurance won't cover it because he wasn't an authorized driver. I told him he had to pay for the repairs. He said he doesn't have that kind of money and that it was just a stupid mistake. My parents are begging me not to make him pay because he's struggling financially and family comes first. I didn't listen. I had a lawyer draft a formal repayment agreement, and now my brother is furious. He says I'm ruining his life over a car, and my family is calling me heartless. I told them that if he'd owned up immediately and offered anything toward fixing it, I might have let it slide. But the fact he stole it, wrecked it, and laughed about it? No. So now there's a huge rift in the family. My parents say I'm overreacting, my brother says he's cutting contact, and I'm sitting here wondering if maybe I really am being petty. Ida?
From user Playful Panda, NTA. Your brother didn't just make a mistake. He stole your car, drove recklessly, destroyed it, and then laughed about it. The $12,000 bill is the direct consequence of his choices, not you being heartless. Family doesn't mean enabling someone's irresponsibility. If anything, holding him accountable might be the only way he learns.
Exactly this, thank you. I think what's frustrating me the most is how my family is framing this like I'm punishing him for just a mistake, when in reality, it was theft, reckless driving, and zero remorse. If I'd done something like that to his property, I'd fully expect to pay for it. I'm not trying to ruin his life, but I refuse to let him think there are no consequences.
AITA for leaving my obese wife for cheating? From user Last Rose Off Summer, /Am I the Angel? I, 35M, have been with my wife Patty, 28F, for 10 years. When we first started dating, she was quite petite at 5 feet 5 inches and 110 pounds. She gained weight during pregnancy and continued to do so, presumably because of hormones, but I have noticed her increased food intake, becoming 3 times as heavy as of now, 330 pounds. You would think that I'd be the cheating spouse, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I loved Patty when she was smaller, I loved her during pregnancy, and I still love her now. Unfortunately, her self-esteem has gone down significantly, causing her to believe herself as unattractive and worthless. I did my best to convince her otherwise, but she resorted to seeking attention from other men to cope. At this point, I lost count of how many Tims she's cheated and how many men she's cheated with. I can't stand it anymore. I feel bad for her situation, but I shouldn't tolerate being cheated on anymore. I filed for divorce, but now her family's blowing up my phone, accusing me of being fat-phobic. I'm not fat-phobic, I just have moral values about adultery. Ida?
From user Cremeber Illinois. This is going to be 90% r/lost redditors again, isn't it? Grinning face with sweat. Also, obviously YTA, be more supportive. Maybe you could offer some snacks and Gatorade to her dates when they come over?
From user asystole_unshockable. Clearly your fault. You didn't try hard enough to make all 3 of her feel attractive. What was she supposed to do? Just continue receiving unconditional love? You weren't even thoughtful enough to properly keep track of how many men she cheated with. This is why we choose the bear.
AITA for being upset that my spouse puts her siblings before our marriage. From user shitty_comedian69. My late 30s M, only child white, and my spouse, early 40s F Indian, have been together for about a decade, married since 2018. I love her deeply, and I know she loves me, but I've struggled for years with feeling like I come second to her sisters. She's the oldest of 3. Her younger sisters are unmarried, have never dated seriously, and still live very close to their parents. In her culture, family bonds are incredibly strong. I respect that, and I want her to have those connections. But it often feels like the expectations of her family clash with the needs of our marriage. We relocated several years ago for financial and career reasons. It was the right move, and honestly our lives have improved dramatically since. What's ironic is that since moving, she actually sees her family more often than when we live nearby. Here's where the conflict happens. Her sisters want her to come stay for 10 to 14 days at a time, multiple times a year, and she usually goes. When that happens, I'm left running the business, the house, and caring for our pets entirely on my own. I've always encouraged her to spend time with them, but the length and frequency of these trips feel unfair. Meanwhile, if I want even a couple of days for myself, it's a battle. To give context, I don't do much for myself. My only me time is a few hours on the weekends riding a watercraft and watching football during the season. That's it. I even skipped a convention I really wanted to attend because I didn't want to go without her. What hurts most are the things she said when I've expressed frustration, that I don't understand because I don't have siblings, that it feels dehumanizing for her to give up trips with them, that she might resent me for not letting her make memories with her sisters. I don't want to take her family away. I just want balance. I want our marriage to come first, so that our life together isn't constantly second to her siblings' wants. Even now, I'm on my first vacation in years, and this same fight came up again and pretty much ruined it. I feel guilty for being upset, but I also feel like I'm carrying the weight of everything while she gets to step away whenever she wants. TLDR, I'm an only child married into a very tight-knit Indian family. My wife wants to spend 10 to 14-day stretches with her sisters multiple times a year, leaving me to handle everything alone. I support her family time, but feel like our marriage and I always come second. AITA for asking her to prioritize us more? Comment from user IC_cheesecake_3346. NTA. I'm Indian with sisters, but I would never impose upon my husband this way. DH is Indian too. She is using culture as an excuse for a personal privilege. Sit down with her and come up with a reasonable Vakri schedule for you both that is more balanced. Maybe 2 less trips for her and a Vakri for you. Also, why isn't she vacationing with you? Also, don't feel guilty. It's important, especially with very involved Indian families, to set reasonable boundaries. Thank you, that's a great tip. Our dog was sick for about a year. I've asked to go places, however, until about 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even get her to look for a pet sitter. We have gone places where we could bring the dog. However, I like to go somewhere, just her and I. I love going places and spending time with her. That's what I don't understand, is why there's such a hesitation. I think it was because of the dog, however, even before that it was rough.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister's BF that she had an abortion at 15? From user relevant_cherry3551. So, I 22F got pregnant with twins when I was only 14. I found out when I was already in the 2nd trimester. Now don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but I wish I had them when I was stable enough to do so. My sister 24F had an abortion when she was only 15. She was a terrible teenager. Her and her friends would bully me for getting pregnant at 14. When my parents found out about the bullying, my sister wasn't allowed to have any friends in the house for a long time. My sister is now Christian, and she has been judging me for not waiting until marriage and having kids as a kid. She would do this in front of new people as well. Last weekend we had a family gathering and my sister brought her BF, who's also Christian, with her for the first time. We were sitting at the table when she brings up the fact that I had my kids at 14, and that it's a sin that I didn't wait until marriage. Her BF then looks at me with disgust. That's when I snapped and told her, since you want to bring up sins, how about we talk about the fact that you had an abortion at 15? She started crying, and I just went home. My mother later called me and said that she understood my feelings, but that I should have ignored my sister instead of airing out my sister's business like that, and that I need to apologize to my sister. I told her that if my sister had minded her own business, I would have minded mine, and I hung up the phone. My extended family says that it was an asshole-ish move, especially since my sister regrets her abortion, and I knew that. So AITA?
From user apprehensive_box 2967. NTA. Glass houses. Can't be throwing stones in him.
From user unusual_wish_2230. NTA. If she were a true Christian, she wouldn't be judging you for your kids, but praising you for the responsibility that you took on.
From user Etia Kroll World. The parents are assholes. How do you have children that get pregnant at 14 and 15? Wasn't safe sex ever talked about at school or at home? Condoms? And once one of them gets pregnant, how did the other not realize what they needed to do not to get pregnant?
Ada for refusing to go on a date with a woman because of her religion. From user any_tone5645. I met a woman through some mutual friends about a year ago, and we also became friends. Last week she asked me out on a date, and I said I wasn't interested. At first she accepted my answer, but a couple days later she asked me why I wasn't interested. I felt awkward answering, but decided to be honest and said I don't date Christians. She was a little upset by my answer and asked me if I thought that was discriminatory. I said no. She said she isn't even that religious, and I said fine, but I have my own culture and religion, and Christianity tends to consume everything else. That's just my observation from some interfaith relationships I've seen. She hasn't spoken to me since then, but I found out yesterday she's been telling our social circle about what happened. Another friend said he thinks it's discrimination too, and that I should give her a chance instead of assuming she'll try to convert me when she isn't even that religious. I don't actually think she'll try to convert me. It's just that Christians tend to assume their religion is the default, so they don't even realize when they are pushing it. I'd rather date women who aren't Christians, and honestly I'm fine waiting for a while to find one. Am I an asshole for discriminating?
Comment from user building 17379. I went out with a woman once who was a fundie, but I decided to give her a chance against my better judgment. She started pearl clutching because I had a black cat. I shut that shit down before we got started.
Reply from user Pumpkin Spice Mayhem. Lord protect me from your so-called followers. People still think negatively about black cats? Do they have to manually breathe?
Comment from user CMNOT. I am not an equal opportunity dater. My goal is not to give all individuals and groups equal access to my romantic involvement. My goal is to find a person who is compatible with me and my lifestyle. And that person will be someone who knows what it's like to be a religious minority in this country, just like me. NTA.
Ada for not wanting to co-own my wife. From user Roxas Husband. Hey guys, I feel like I'm going crazy here, so I could really use some opinions. So I, 28M, married my wife, 28F, about a year ago. Things have been going super well. She has 2 kids from a previous marriage that I love like my own and a great family. The problem is her ex-husband, 31M, has recently become less and less cooperative with the co-parenting situation. He won't bring the kids over when it's his turn to. He constantly forgets to pick them up from school/sports and really won't do very much to support them. When confronted, he said that it's not fair that he is obligated to take care of the children since the arrangement has been violated. What he means by that is he only agreed to take care of his kids on the grounds that he was married to his ex-wife, my current wife. He says that there's simply nothing in it for him in raising his children. And if we want him to contribute, he will need partial rights to time with my wife. My wife says that this may not be a terrible trade, as an exchange for just a couple hours, minutes. With him a week, we would have a lot less stress, because he'd actually do his half of the work. I said that violates my boundaries, and that it feels like cheating. She said it's not cheating, it's more like co-ownership. My heart is broken, and I told her that if she does this, I may have to consider marriage concealing, and now she's upset with my closed-mindedness. And my friends think him passing up a great opportunity. Ada, for saying I don't want this?
Comment from Malcolana. There are far too many people here who haven't realized and are reacting like this is real.
It's the best part.
Comment from Ditson. Something used goods. Something narcissist. Something red flags. Insert other Reddit buzzwords here.
Something more complicated than that. Something. Insert cuck fantasy here.
From user Safia Makamadova. YTA. You didn't even mention that her kids are twins and that her entire family is blowing up for phone and your family and friends are divided on this issue. Also, suggest that her ex sleep with her twin sister instead. That's basically the same, right?
Comment from user FatBallX1994. I'm going to break this down for you gently cause it's a tough situation. You're a cunt. Okay, I'm being nice, but realistically you are a selfish, horrible, stinking pile of dog shit. Your wife has come up with the best possible solution and you reject it. Plan to offer up your bussy to the ex-husband instead? No. Well then. Some people.
I 37M told my fiancé 35F why I don't think we're compatible anymore, and now she has twisted my words. How to move forward. So I posted a couple of weeks ago explaining the situation and asking if I'm overreacting. It's hard to word this without sounding like I am being nasty. To try and keep it short, we've always had differing views to nutrition/fitness. Admittedly, she has gained over 100 pounds since we first properly got together around 8 years ago. When we first met, she was around 110 pounds and 5 feet 1 inch, and now is 224 pounds. This isn't really the problem, though. The main problem is her attitude to it. The doctor was concerned, so tested to rule out any undiagnosed conditions causing it. Ultimately, it came down to lifestyle and eating habits. This is where we've always differed. I am probably overly conscious of what I eat and try workout regularly, whereas she mainly eats fast food/takeout delivery and hates exercise. I'll portion control, whereas she thinks nothing of sitting down with 2 stacked plates each meal time. Over time, it's just become normal. And I guess maybe I've been in denial, or maybe that's not really a big issue. The biggest red flag for me is that she isn't bothered about the doctor's advice and has dismissed it as box ticking. Maybe it's because I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, but I just can't get my head around how she will dismiss it. For the last year, 18 months, the doctor has been seriously on her case to adopt a healthier lifestyle, but she totally dismisses it. Her opinion is that health is predetermined by genes and not lifestyle. And while that's been going on, I guess I've realized that's not an environment or attitude that aligns with my own. I know that people change. It would be naive to expect us to still look like our 20s almost 10 years down the line. But in the last year, 18 months, it feels like the attraction is gone, and I must stress it's not just because of looks. Some of the habits she has adopted basically put me off. Again, I'm trying to be honest and not come off as nasty. I'm sure there's things about me that most would roll their eyes at. After seeking advice, I was honest with her and told her I don't think we are compatible. It feels like we just coexist in this house, have completely different lifestyles and goals, but also that I was a bit concerned about how she would dismiss the doctor's concerns. I suggested perhaps we try being apart to see how we get on, but also suggested maybe she would be better suited with someone more similar, since we don't share any hobbies/interests, don't eat together. I suggested that I go and stay with family for a while. I guess it's my fault for not saying the right things, but she has basically twisted what I said and told friends that I gave her an ultimatum to lose weight or move out, and told one of our friends that I spoke to her doctor behind her back to pressure her to lose weight. Neither of which happened. I don't want to get into a back and forward, but at the same time feel that I at least have to salvage my reputation amongst our mutual friends. I just don't really know how.
Comment from user. You can't control how she spin doctors her inner narrative to make herself look blameless, but you can choose what is right for you and your lifestyle. Last thing you need is a partner who can spur you into eating disorders because you begin overcompensating for their lack of nutrition literacy. I knew a few people like her who threw all accountability for their health out the window once they felt they didn't need to try anymore. They had that awful mentality that their only goal was to lock down a partner, after which they could neglect themselves, all develop serious health issues fairly quickly. One has already died. Keep your dignity, and when you have a conversation with your fiancé, keep it logical. If your mutual friends don't question her denial or version of the story, then they aren't your friends to begin with. I wish you luck, and I hope when you're ready to find someone who shares your passions and life. My husband wanted a divorce until he lost his job. Am I the asshole to follow through with filing? My husband, 34 male, and I, 38 female, have been married for 6 years, together for 9. We have had our ups and downs, but the biggest down is how he speaks to me. I just had our son 1 year ago. When I was 10 months postpartum, he was telling Annie I am fat and lazy, and all I do is take care of the baby and work. As I still had baby weight on navigating new routines, work and caring for our baby and 4 other children while working 40 hours a week. On my birthday, he demanded I not leave the house or he would divorce me. Just so happened my daughter had an appointment at UCLA for her teeth the morning of my birthday, so I took her. Needless to say, he didn't even say hello to me and slept in his game room. He has been sleeping there since. It's been 2 months. He told everyone he was divorcing me, spoke to an attorney and everything before even telling me he wanted a divorce. He told me I was not the prize, I'm almost 40 and have 4 kids, 3 who are minors. He said he's the prize, he's in his prime and makes good money, and any women would love to be in my shoes and take care of his kids. He even went as far as inviting his baby mother into the house to visit while I was out. Fast forward, he loses his job and telling me to wait to move. He then starts talking nicer to me and acting different than before. I told him I was still moving out and going forward with separating because his actions did not align with someone who wanted to be with me. It feels more like I'm his only option at the moment. Now he's going around saying I am a gold digger and leave as soon as he loses his job. He's saying he wanted to try to make it work, but I am the one choosing to leave to all his family and friends. So, am I the asshole for following through with what he initiated even after he lost his job?
He's realizing that nobody wants an unemployed jackass who verbally abuses his postpartum wife. Leave him and focus on creating a healthy life for yourself and your kids without his toxic behavior dragging you down.